It's like, hey, what's popping? What's popping? It's me. You know what I'm saying? It's your neighborhood superstar. I got my dog, the piece, the pride of Chicago, Illinois, keeping that whole thing tight, making sure no violence happen. You know what I'm saying? Keeping all the hood segregated, 63rd, 64th, 60th. He bringing everything together. You know what I'm saying? And then, man, we got a West Bank superstar, man. Shout out to I graduated with him from Cougar Pride. Uh, my dog Ivory in the building. You know what I'm saying? We here, man. We here. It's the day a lot of people been waiting on, bro. They've been tweeting, they've been YouTube comments, man. When y'all go do some draft breakdowns, when y'all go do some film. I got my dog Ivory in the building because he texted me. I tell him what you told me. I ain't go tell him what you told me.
Which one? What we talking about?
You told me you said I got the perfect pick
Oh
for the Pelicans, and I'm ready to talk
yeah,
about it.
right. That's true. That's true.
So before we get into who this pick is, I want to ask you. You initially had another pick. I want to ask you to tell me what is the distinction of why you made the change.
Uh, One of the trends that I'm seeing right now with teams in the playoffs are they really, bringing out these double big lineups, and each of the teams in the, top of the East and the West, they have, size in their front court. And I think now the way that the game is going, that you have to have a multitude of bigs, different type of bigs. And again, if you look at OKC, how they constructed, if you look at Boston and see how they constructed, if you look at Houston, see how they constructed. If you look at Cleveland, see how they constructed that double bigs lineup is something that those top teams have, and I think you need to have those type of players if you're going to contend for a championship.
All right, no doubt. Now, the person we haven't said a name, but the person we're talking about today is Danny Wolf. Danny Wolf, if y'all don't know, he is center from Michigan. I'm gonna just kind of cruise through some of his stats from this year. I think he started at Yale, if I'm not
That's
mistaken.
correct.
All right, cool. I think he started at Yale, 7 foot 250. This year he averaged 14, let's say 9.5, 9.7, 10 rebounds a game, shot 71% from the free throw line, shot 34% from three. You're looking at a block, 1.3 blocks a game, 2.4 assists. And I kind of did a little bit of research before because I knew you wanted to talk about him. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm not thrilled with his draft comps, and I think he can be more offensively talented than what his comps are. Mo Wagner was one of them, and no disrespect to Mo, because I really think Mo should be a Pelican. Um, but I see more guard play out of Danny Wolf. He seems more cerebral, and like a featured part of an offense. Is that one of the things? We had a conversation before the pod started. I don't know if you're ready to talk about that now. I could get into the film if not, but before we start the film, give me one reason, just one reason why you think he's a draft pick.
Versatility. Um,
Mm,
One of
mm.
my gripes with the Pelicans roster during the Griffin era was that a lot of their players were either too offensively slanted or too defensively slanted. And I think Danny Wolf can kind of break that mold and be more of a two-way player, um, unlike many of his predecessors. Yeah.
That's a good variety. I like that. Okay, so let's get into the film.
Wait, before you start, Lito, hold on. Ivy, let me ask you. So before through what Lito was telling me, you believe that Trey Johnson was the pick.
Correct.
But with either of these picks, let me we're gonna go through the film, but
Mhm.
where exactly would you draft Danny Wolf? Like, I mean, of course, like you wouldn't draft him second, right? You wouldn't draft him, maybe not third, but like, is it like fourth and further, or would you draft him at 4 or 3?
I think an ideal situation, trading down and acquiring more assets and still drafting a Danny Wolf, because I don't know where anybody have him on their draft boards. But to me, in terms of what value he can provide for the Pelicans, it's very high up there. I mean, he may not be the most talented player in this draft, but due to his versatility, being able to play a guard and forward spot, being 7 feet tall, I mean that's really attractive in terms of what he can do for this Pelicans team.
You got something else, Chris? I mean, feel free. I'm not trying to cut you short. Feel free to.
That was it. That was it. That was it.
All right, man. So look, check this out. Before we get into this, I want to give a shout out to today. We're using No Ceilings NBA. Shout out to No Ceilings NBA. Subscribe to their joint. They do great work. Shout out to Intuition Hoops. Subscribe to their joint. And please don't clip us. You know what I'm saying? Like don't clip us. We doing this out of love. No Ceilings NBA, holla at us. Let's tap in. So I like them because what they did was they broke it down into 3 different factors. They did his scoring, they did playmaking, and they did defense. So we're gonna try to see what we can see from our partner Danny Wolf. And we kind of went over these stats already. Let's get into the film, man.
Because it moves pretty well with somebody 7 feet.
You're supposed to be doing that at 7 foot.
Nah, just watching them run downhill.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second.
Sheesh.
Hey, can we hold on. We can't just breeze past that. I feel like
somebody will come in the comments saying that they saw Carlo do that in summer league, bro. So you
ain't never seen Carlo do that. You ain't never seen Carlo do that.
I ain't never seen Carlo do that.
You ain't never seen Carlo do this.
I can find some film. You were telling me Tyson was gonna do this.
I ain't never told you. I told you Tyson was gonna set a hammer
nasty,
screen.
Though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then the balance to be able to get back and shoot a textbook jumper. All right, Ivory.
So Ivory, let me ask you something. When you watch film like this and you watch these guys, how like that shot right there, that translates, right? Because day one, those are the kind of shots that he's gonna be asked to do.
Mm-hmm.
The consistent, the 3 dribble element of it, that's more than likely not gonna be something he's asked to do at this level right away. But when you watch this film and you watch guys that are maybe in more of a free system, or maybe they're the best player, how do you break down what you think or how their game will translate to the next level when they're going to be asked to do other things or asked to do less, or maybe their shots are going to be limited, their dribble opportunities, like those kind of things, like a completely different role from what we're watching him do right now in Michigan.
Absolutely. Well, one of the things I try to do is try and extrapolate their skill sets and see and kind of gauge how that might translate into a potential situation, and particularly with Wolf, with the Pelicans. And the thing that's so intriguing about Danny is that I believe he can play independent of and contingent upon Zion. I think you can put him on the floor at the 3, the 4, or the 5 spot. And I think that will give the Pelicans lineup a lot of versatility.
I just want to. I got a question, but before I get into the question, I just want to talk about. It was one move. It wasn't this one. But we getting there. I'm seeing a smart player. I'm seeing a guy who you talked about independent of Zion. I'm seeing a guy who's moving without the basketball. Also, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm seeing some bad cuts. I'm seeing slide cuts. I'm seeing pick and rolls, like backdoor picks. And for the people who, I just want to kind of talk my dog up because you're my partner. I just kind of want to like people kind of like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like how does Why does Ivory know? Offensively, right? I would say this, and you probably will agree with me here. I will say that you may not gauge yourself as an offensive player, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that probably wasn't your bread and butter. That wasn't what made a career for you,
Right.
right?
Right.
Right. You one of the few people I seen give Brandon Roy a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you telling me somebody has offensive talent, I'm listening to you.
Yeah. And I think, you know, as someone who was a multi-year Defensive Player of the Year award
Talk your shit,
recipient,
cuz. Talk your shit, cuz.
I think, I'm used to seeing what really works offensively, like guys that really have it. Like I have a keen eye for that. And I look at Danny Wolf, someone who has European experience. He played on the Israeli national team. And you can tell by how well he moves backdoor, moving without the ball, a lot of European
Ooh.
concepts. I think that's what makes him so dangerous with and without the ball.
I'd like to also further add, I seen my dog play basketball against T-Mac, but we ain't got to talk about that. We ain't got to talk about that neither. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? But I'm seeing I didn't know his European basketball side, but looking at him play, I understand. He's super fluid with even hand too.
Yeah.
Yeah. He seems to be comfortable moving at all speeds. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like you see a lot of bigs, they get downhill like they're like like a deer in headlights. They get, or
Oh, great
dunk
pick.
happy, or they get caught between, if someone if they're given a decent amount of space, they get uncomfortable. Do I pull up here? Am I shooting a little baby hook, a little baby runner? Or do I take it, or am I going aggressively trying to drive to the paint? He seems to be. I mean, I know Lito mentioned how fluid he is in moving. Like his change of direction is solid, but all of these clips, and I'm glad that you picked a really good highlight video, Lito. It's showing him running full speed. It's
Yeah.
showing him running kind of half speed. It's showing him after screens and how he rolls, his patience with and without the basketball. So offensively, you see like the makings of someone who can be pretty solid, you know, because I was ready to be disrespectful and throw out Frank Kaminsky and a bunch of names, but he seems to be a little bit more athletic, but comfortable with the ball, not just throwing up shit, like fundamentally sound. Like he's worked on a lot of this stuff, and that might go back to some of the European roots, the national team usage, so on and so forth.
I want to say this, and I don't mean to be disrespectful either. This particular play, right? Mid dribble, directing offense. Like, get out of my way. I got a mismatch. I'm about to attack this. Right. I'm seeing, I know Mo Wagner was the comp. I might be off base here, but I'm seeing a more vertical Sengun.
Mo Wagner
Mm.
is a great is a this current
Yeah.
current Mo Wagner,
Yeah.
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 like Orlando for the dog.
Yeah.
That's pretty fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that that's gonna be, but like, imagine if like he looks like what Mo Wagner is like right now,
Yeah.
kind of. You know what I'm saying? He may not be as good of a
The sh-
shooter. It may take him some time, right? But what Mo's been doing the past couple years in Orlando, that guy, not the guy that came out of college, not early Mo Wagner, who was a little bit more traditional in a sense. So that's I kind of like that.
I'm seeing a more vertical Sengun.
I think he's a little
I
bit more
haven't seen
mobile
him
than
pass his
Sengun.
ball.
He can
No,
move.
yeah, no, I agree. I'm just saying that he does a lot of revert this move right here, right?
Yeah.
He's fading away with it, but Sengun loves a drop step on the baseline.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
he
love it.
does a lot of reverse spins. You know what I'm saying? Like Sengun don't
He
have
puts the
this.
work in. He put the
Yeah.
work in. I mean, for sure. And I mean, he seems to be. And see, that's another thing. He's comfortable, like
Mm.
pretty much at all three levels. So
Yeah.
fading, you didn't see hooks, You've seen shots. I mean, well, you've seen jumpers, you've seen drives, you've seen layups, you've seen. Fuck, he's dribbling the ball here through traffic. So that's a lot of bigs, man, um, struggle with finishing around the athletic bigs typically seem to struggle finishing around the basket when
Ooh,
they're faced with NBA strength. He's moving these dudes around, but all of these finishes are below the rim. So like that stuff will, it should
ooh,
translate for him because he's working. He's worked on it.
bro. He got beautiful. Like his footwork is incredible. His footwork is incredible. And at the end of the day, he's 7 foot.
There
So
you go.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I can still finish over the majority of these guys. Bro, look at that shot. I ain't gonna lie, I'm impressed, bro.
Let me ask you two a question, Chris and Lito.
Go ahead.
If you had to name about 3 or 4 deficiencies that the Pelicans roster have, what would they be?
Mm.
That's not, but that's actually a good question. I think they need more like a more like variety of like athleticism.
Okay.
You know, they could use more guys that are able to create space with the basketball. Um, I think that they have guys that can get their own shot, but CJ, for example, but CJ doesn't create the same space off the dribble as maybe he did, maybe his first year in New Orleans or when he was in Portland. It just those things happen. There's other guys like Trey starting to get he's showing some of those flashes this year. We know Zion can get his own, but Zion ain't creating much space. I mean, his space is getting you the hell out the way. But I would say that's
Mm.
one element, creating easier shots, considering that they don't run a ton of plays that easily that can easily get guys open, and they've had an issue with the point guard position. Hopefully, if the roster stays as it is now, you saw what Alfred was able to do at a smaller level. Um, just simply getting guys aligned and getting them the basketball areas that they like. Hmm, rim protection,
Mm.
true rim protection. Like Misi has Misi's a shot blocker, but I don't think he's completely. I mean, he's 19, hasn't played a bunch of basketball. Defensively, he's gonna have to learn the element of protecting the rim. I mean, Ivory, Lito. I mean, y'all both. I'm sure y'all played enough. Y'all know a guy that can get weak side blocks, and y'all know a guy when y'all driving, like, all right, let me chill. Let me kind of be a little crafty what I do here, or I'm at least paying attention to this guy on this drive, versus the individual that's just out there being an athlete, just going out there chasing blocks. So I think rim protection, they've been missing a rim protector for I mean, it
Mm.
feels like damn near since Tyson Chandler left as a franchise. So off the top, that'll be two things that I think of. Lito, what about you?
Okay.
Me and Ivory had this conversation before the pasta. That was a great spin. Oh my god. And I told him it's a hell of a lot of things. But if I had to give him an answer of the pressing things, it would be shooting, playmaking, and rebounding.
All right. The reason
Rebounding,
why I asked you
rebounding.
guys,
Go ahead,
uh,
Ivory.
I wrote down a couple things during the season, some areas that I thought that they could improve in. One being rebounding, one being more size on the court, another one would be facilitation and more shooting. Um, and that's why Danny Wolf is so intriguing. He finished first in the Big 10, Big 12, whatever Michigan
Ivory.
conference. Yeah.
Hold on one second. This nigga almost fell. Give me hold on. Just
Yeah.
please hold on. What because what you about to say is very important. But
Yeah.
44, you got dog. Come on, dog. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ivory.
Uh, Danny Wolf finished first with 360 total rebounds, 275 of which were defensive rebounds. It's an area that the Pelicans sorely need. Also, with DeJounte Murray being out, leaving all the facilitation to Zion, I think that is an area that needs to be bolstered as well. And as you can see, um, when Danny Wolf, when we get to his playmaking, man, he can absolutely drop some dimes. I love his feel for the game, the passes that he can make. And of course, he's 7 feet tall. So
Right.
I think you can get facilitate whenever you can get facilitation in a player without sacrificing size. I mean, that is a huge benefit.
Lito, you mentioned Shingun. I see a little bit more of Sabonis. Um,
I ain't mad at that, Chris.
yeah, I mean, but like Sabonis isn't dribbling left or right in that, and like the same way, Sabonis is more pivot and drive. He ain't necessarily doing this. I mean, if Sabonis is dribbling like that on the perimeter, like you gotta have to check and see if he took his medicine before the game.
Mhm.
Um, but mainly out of the post on dribble handoffs or when he's turning and going downhill, I see a lot more of because what you see Sabonis do a lot is um like his ability to stop and shoot, and shoot a hook shot. I think is important. I think with Shingun, it's a little bit of a slower transition from the perimeter to the
Mm-hmm.
basket unless you
Mm-hmm.
empty out a side, which is why typically with Shingun, as a creator, you probably would want him working 15 to 20 feet out, or unless the play is designed for him to find somebody at the top of the key. But I would limit his moves versus Sabonis. You see Sabonis kind of travel a lot more miles on the floor. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm seeing from Danny Wolf right now. Just a lot more movement, a little bit, more athletic. Um, and his ability to stop and pass, stop and react, stop and shoot, little small stuff like that. Not saying Shingun's a terrible athlete, but a little bit more crafty than Sabonis. I would say is a little bit of an athlete. Neither of them jumping out the gym necessarily, but
I haven't
Yeah.
seen I haven't seen Danny Wolf in one situation yet on the floor where I've felt like he was uncomfortable. I haven't seen him in 1 second of video where I'm like, yeah, he might really need to focus on this part of his game. Like it feels like, I mean, I'm not saying he's 100% polished, a 100% polished player, but he got some shine to him.
does this does this this highlight package have what he can do on the defensive side of the floor?
Yeah,
Because that's what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
that's what I need to see.
yeah. It's got
All
defense
this,
in it too.
and I'm curious what Ivory thinks about that side of the floor as well, because we know, we see it all the time. Houston, for example, they battle this night to night with Shingun, depending on what the opposite team is doing, which is why Tyree Easton is so important.
Yeah.
That sometimes, as good as Shingun is offensively, teams will attack him in pick and rolls. They will attack him in space, and you got somebody like Tyree who can play small ball five, one of Draymond's favorite players, somebody who you may need to close certain games with, and it puts Shingun in a weird situation because we know that he can only do so much on that side of the floor. So, and I want the Pelicans, Ivory, to draft somebody where they're sitting at right
Hmm.
now. I don't want them to draft somebody that is situational.
Hmm.
They need more players because Eve's Missy right now is situational.
Hmm.
They need more players that can play multiple styles, and against multiple type of looks, multiple fronts, big lineups, small lineups. That's what I'm curious about when it comes to Danny Wolf.
I really, let me ask you a question. Who
So
you feel like the better player between Danny Wolf and Derek Queen?
uh I think Danny Wolf's the better player. I don't have the concerns that I have on defense with Wolf that I do with Derek Queen. Derek Queen, he moves a little bit more slower. I think uh quiet is kept. Danny Wolf posted a 94.5 defensive rating for Michigan when he was on the floor defensively.
Mm.
Um, just for comparison, Cooper Flag had an 89.5. Um, and he's considered like a generational defensive talent. So if I were to compare Derek Queen versus Danny Wolf, I have a lot more concerns with Derek Queen. Even his outside shooting isn't up to par like Danny Wolf's. And Wolf is just he's more fluid, more fluid. He can move better than Queen.
I seen 1.3 block. I haven't seen a defensive highlight yet, but when I look at the stats and I see 1.3 blocks a game, it's telling me a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know if that's weak side. I don't know if that's strong side, but the fact that it still equals out to 1.3, I'm intrigued. So I can't. I'm sold on his playmaking. I might just get to his defense.
So Michigan was ranked 42nd 42nd in the country in defensive efficiency last season.
The block 42nd.
42nd in the country.
The weak side.
Duke was ranked 4th. Houston number 1. St. John's number 2. I'm curious, man. I mean, because when I watched Michigan, I think they played. Was it Auburn? They played.
In the tournament, yeah.
Yeah. In the tournament, and they had. I thought they played really good team defense. Right, there was nothing. Nobody really jumped off the page, and what they were doing. They just had really good. They seemed to have really good communication, and they seemed to be sound defensively as a unit. Now, that's no, insult to Danny, because I mean, if you know Willie Green, you want to give minutes right away. That's the side of the floor to get it. He don't care about you dribbling the basket. He don't care about you shooting. If you can average 0 points per game in college. He don't care how many, how many steals you got, how many blocks you average a game, how many screen assists. You know, he don't care about the points. But what I'm seeing here, and this is really good as well. I mean, I want to see him in space. I want to see how some of those things that we saw him, like the change of direction on the offensive floor, transition to what he does defensively. Damn.
Yeah. And I have a theory, if you put enough mobile big bodies, and I don't think the Orlando Magic have a ton of great defenders. I mean, obviously Jalen Suggs is phenomenal. Um, Jonathan Isaac is, but those guys, of course, Suggs been out for a while. Isaac doesn't play much, but yet they're still one of the best defensive teams because they have a bunch of mobile big people. Once you beat a big 7-footer off of the dribble, and you got to see another one. I think that just causes all type of problems. That you know it's hard to account for when you have that much size on the court defensively.
That's a good point, Ivory. I mean, because you coming out with Franz and Paolo and Wendell Carter. I mean, that's a big small forward to center. Like, I mean, front court in total. And I'm sure that, I mean, that definitely plays a role. And specifically when you're talking Franz, and it's not like Wendell can't move, but Franz and Paolo's ability to kind of, because now as a, like, when you trying to when you're looking for this mismatch, I mean, you got people you got to watch helping out, contesting shots all over the floor, because whether it's Paolo, whether it's Franz, whether it's Wendell, and I mean that allows the guys up. I mean, hell, I mean they're starting Corey Joseph right now,
Yeah.
because I mean, like, defensively, his duties are limited on what he has to do, and you can't really pick on him because, like you mentioned, just the ultimate, the size and the athleticism they have, but not just with just one guy, but like 2-3 dudes. They all have good wingspan, so on and so. That's a really good point.
So this was, again, shout out to No Ceilings NBA, tapping with them. We basically trying to show love to them because they deserve it. They've been putting in the work, man. So stop sharing. With all that being said, right? With all that being said, we saw the video, we saw the playmaking, we saw the defense, we saw the scoring. You got the number, I don't know. I forgot what you said. You felt comfortable drafting him. Did you say a number?
I feel comfortable drafting him between 10, really comfortable between 10 on back.
All right. So let's say you got the number 6 pick.
Mm-hmm.
You drafting Danny Wolf? What you doing right there?
I think I will still pull a trigger on Danny Wolf at 6, especially if Trey Johnson is gone at that point. It's this draft is real spotty after like 7 or 8. It really, and maybe not even that much. So banking on Danny Wolf's upside at that point, I don't think it's egregious at all.
Chris, same question, man. You got the number 1 pick. I mean, I'm sorry, you got the number 6 pick, and I'm just throwing the generic number out there. You got the number 6 pick. What are you doing? Are you draft? Have you seen enough from Danny Wolf that he would intrigue you to draft him there? And if not, where would you feel comfortable drafting him?
I'd probably trade back because I mean I feel like I do think he appears to be somebody that I think even in a small role can contribute day one. He seems to be sound, he seems to be smart, he seems to have things like he's not doing a bunch of things on the floor that he couldn't find a way to help translate at the next level. I think playing on a team that had several people involved offensively and defensively also helps. I mean, just like your ability to connect at the next level, like is huge, and how you process things. I mean, anything that helps him limit the things that what he's gonna have to learn. Like he's the kind of player I don't think that he's gonna have to take large steps um to play at the next level. But the upside is the thing, for me. Like I think he can be a solid big. I think he could do things, he has things that could give him, a nice career. But if I'm at 6, I want somebody that has a little bit more upside because I don't know if Danny Wolf has star ability. I think he would fit really good on this team because the Pelicans have been lacking of a big that is versatile and can do several things on the floor at once. For a while, they just don't have that. Carlo's probably the closest thing that they have. Maybe we'll see what Misi continues to grow into as he gets more comfortable. I don't know if I could draft him at 6, but I would probably be more comfortable taking him at the end of the lottery. You know what I mean? That kind of situation. If you choose to trade up, I think what Ivory said in regards to like that 10 to 15 range for what this team needs, because they definitely need another big, another solid big, a polished big, But I think that 10 to end the lottery situation is where I
Well,
would feel comfortable.
here's the corollary to that question. In this
Mm.
particular draft, who would be more deserving to have the upside that you're looking for with that pick that would be more suited to be taken there?
Ooh, at
One more time.
6.
One more time. I'm sorry. What's the upside pick?
At the 6th pick in this particular draft, who would you take that gamble on that has that upside that would exceed Wolf's?
I
Mm,
see what you're doing right there.
let's say, I mean, I think like a popular name would be like Igor Denim, but I mean,
Look at his
I'd
shooting
probably go
percentages.
right. Right. No, I mean he can't. But I'm saying though, like the prospect. I think if you put prospect versus prospect, in the NBA they love potential, they love ceilings, they love what could be. If he has this, if he gets this, that kind of thing. I would say Igor's ceiling's a little bit higher than Danny. Um, but he's not as polished as Danny. So that's the that's the battle there, right? Like if we just talking on day one availability, you might not be able to name 4 to 5 players that have the skill set that's ready to play day one. But you know, maybe Jace Richardson,
That's exactly what I was gonna say, dog.
Michigan State.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Him for me, him and Jaku. And Jaku maybe is a bit of a stretch for me.
Um, Stealing, man. In that 6 range, because that's. I mean, it's Trey Johnson. Trey Johnson's in that 6 range, right?
Yes.
But see,
Yeah.
but see, I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't watched enough of Trey Johnson to really speak on that. Trying to see. You said Jocko. Lito.
If I
See,
had
Jaka
to,
see,
Jonas.
dog. I'm not. Dog. I'm not. Dog. The day Ivory gonna have to come back when we break him down. Ivory gonna have to come back for that because yeah, I mean, you want me to be excited about Kevin Herter, bro? Like, what you
I,
want?
I'm saying
Like, come on, man.
I'm not saying I would draft him. I'm thinking the upside. Like he 18, he was 6'8", 6'9". You know what I'm
No, he's
saying?
6'6", man, at
He's six
best.
six. Okay.
Yeah,
hmm
at best.
I don't know,
Like, and
man.
then that's another thing with Danny Wolf. His body's NBA ready. That dude is at least what, 240. I'm
200,
looking right now.
Yeah.
250.
Yeah. I mean, you ain't talking about somebody that's gonna have to. I mean, Ivory, you make some good points. I'm not gonna lie to you. You make some really good points because one thing about the Pelicans, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. They need more professionals that are more like guys that know what and who they are at this league to limit what the development team has to do in regards to teaching and elevating, and that, like it's been too many guys. Like if Trey Murphy didn't have the mind that he had and the work ethic and the family he had, it might be a different story. But in a lot of ways, Trey had a lot of intangibles, a lot of parts of his skill sets that were raw, right? Dyson had a lot of things that still needed to be worked on the offensive floor, that offense side of the floor, that were raw. Yves, another prospect, later on in the draft, but another guy that he has a long way to go in regards to sharpening up some of these tools and the fundamental aspect of it. With Danny Wolf, you ain't really gotta do too much there. He's going to be ready. And the Pelicans do need more guys like that just numbers called, ready to go. I know what I'm gonna do on this floor. I know what y'all need me to do. I might not need a whole bunch of direction. I was made this way.
Yo, so Bleacher Report they did a mock draft. They got Danny Wolf going 21 to Utah. But the eye-opening thing for me is
Utah.
it, his pro comp that they have two of them. The first one is Kyle Anderson. And I'm not sure
No.
they've ever watched Danny Wolf play. Not from what I just seen, but the second one I think is a little bit interesting just because of this guy's offensive game is Hito Turkoglu.
No. Oh.
I'm not sure anybody from Bleacher Report has watched Danny Wolf play basketball.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. Danny Wolf gonna go somewhere like San Antonio, and it's gonna be like this guy with Wimby,
Yeah,
like matching. Like it's just that
yeah.
would be fun to watch.
It'd be too
Yeah.
That'd
perfect.
be fun to watch. That'd be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Um,
When I watch Danny Wolf, I get a bit of Nas Reed and a bit of Franz Wagner.
Mm.
I like that.
I see Franz Wagner when he spins with the basketball. Franz ain't
Yeah.
never seen a spin right shoulder he don't love, bro. Every time.
I like that. I like that.
Man. So I mean, let me ask. I mean, do you think just throw out every other intangible, throw out potential? Do you think he's the best big in the draft, or do you
So
think he's
there's
the
so
best
many different
competing big for the
types of
Pelicans?
bigs in this
Yeah.
draft. Man, it depends on what your team is looking for because there's a center from Stanford, Maxime Renault. who's 7'1". He's kind of like Carlo Makovich, but taller. Can really stretch the floor and hit the three. I'm really enamored with him and his potential. And then there's still like the bigs like Malawach, who's a rim running, lob threat, defensive presence type big. And then you still have your Derek Queens, who's like I think a similar version of player like a Danny Wolf. So there's different types of bigs in this draft.
Okay.
Do I think he's the best big?
Easily the most versatile, and I think Derek Queen is very versatile as well. But I think Wolf is even more versatile.
I think skill wise, especially offensively, I think he's got the most of his game. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure his upside don't have a lot to give. Like I'm watching his game and I'm not sure that I'm like how can't he get better? You know what I'm saying? Like
All right.
he's got
Yeah.
all of these intangibles so far. Like uh, the first thing for me is he got into Yale. The motherfucker's smart. He's
Yeah.
cerebral. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. He kind of scary to me now. like I think I'm getting sold.
Yeah.
I mean, so end of the day, if and then another thing for a guy like Danny, because I think when people watch this video, when they watch the film, they're gonna pigeonhole him or Ivory into like just a center position, right? But he's clearly somebody who can play multiple
Yeah.
positions, and if you are going the route that a lot of the teams are doing now in the NBA. Joe Dumars talked about it not too long ago as well, and you did today about double bigs. You look around, it's all across the league now in those options. And if it's not your starting lineup, you have someone that you can throw in to kind of make
Hmm.
that a part of what you do. Oklahoma City right now, is their thing. With Chet and Hartenstein. Boston can do it when they choose to with Porzingis and Al Horford. Um, Memphis with Jaren Jackson and Edie. List goes on and on. The Pelicans
Hmm.
started to do at the end of last season was running Olenek and Carlo lineups or Olenek and Misi lineups. So if you're telling me that he could be a power forward or a center, you even mentioned even a small forward in some respects, you have more flexibility with someone like that. Even if the Pelicans don't take him, I think for him, because at no point is running a 7 foot man out there 250 at the center position a small lineup. But if you choose to go big, he's not a statue. So if he's at the four, um, it's gonna be interesting, man. Like how his game translates day one, what he thinks that he's going to have to do to earn minutes, what teams are gonna ask him to do. Because I mean, I wouldn't just put him into the regular just defend and grab rebounds and play hard category. He has some skills that I think you need to take advantage of um soon as you bring him into your building.
You saying playing with force not gonna do it?
No, Lito Green, it will not.
Mm. You bigger than that, Chris. You bigger than that. Bigger than the brand.
All right. All right,
Hey,
man. Go ahead, Lito.
no, I was about to say, man, I don't really have nothing else. The only thing I would say, I would like the only critique I have so far of Danny Wolf. I want him to have, not wish, because I mean he's what 20 years old.
Yeah.
He's 20 years old. I
Yeah.
want him to have a little bit of an attack first personality a little bit more often. Um, than what like I think a player with his intangibles and all his skill sets, I think sometimes he might just fall into the game of letting the game come to him instead of just attacking the game. I could be wrong, but that's the only critique I have.
On that Michigan team, he was asked to do a lot. And I think he can scale up or down. Again, a part of his versatility. And I kind of envision those guys what would that look like with Trey on the court? What would that look like with Zion on the court? And I think, man, he can do a lot of things beneficial for this team. This team has to get bigger. Pause. Like this team we have to have a team that is physically imposing. And the Pelicans apps that's an area that needs to be addressed right away. And I think Danny Wolf can offer that to them.
Last question, Ivory, and we'll get out of here. Do you have any concern about, because he's not a bad athlete, but the athleticism upgrades that he'll see at the next level, right? He won't be able to move guys out of the way at the next level as easy. He won't be able to drive, as easy. Some of those layups that he would taking are gonna be blocks, or are gonna turn into blocks, or are gonna turn into fouls, or turn into turnovers, or him getting caught in no man's land and having to make a last second pass. Are you worried about the game speed change for someone like him at the next level early on?
No, I'm not. That's not my concern with him, or not a big one, anyways. Uh, Concerns I have with Wolf are that he does have a high turnover rate. And his shooting is spotty, real streaky shooter. That would be my only concerns with him. But with more space in NBA as opposed to what he had in college to operate with, I think he can be even more impactful. I think he can collapse the defense even more. I think he can be a great connector type player. And so that kind of alleviate my concerns about what he could be on offense. Um, Defensively, again, I think being 7 foot tall and being mobile, as we saw he can block shots. We saw that he can kind of stay in front of people. So that's very intriguing. So on the offensive side, I'm not too concerned at all.
All right,
Well,
fair enough.
that's Danny Wolf, man. Shout out to my dog Ivory for pulling
I
up,
appreciate you
man.
for having me, bro.
Man, all good, man. If you got anybody else, you know, holla at me. We can do it. Me and Chris, we trying to get our favorite basketball minds, content creators, people who we like talking hoops with, to get their opinion on who they would draft and why. And Ivory was the first shot at it, and I feel like he smoked it. And again, my dog is the only person I ever seen give Brandon Roy fits. I'm gonna say that until the day I die.
That's high praise, dog.
Appreciate it.
Just saying, man. So for Ivory, hold on, before we go, Ivory, tell them where they can find you at. Tell them what you're doing.
Oh man, you can find me on Twitter at Nola Legend, Instagram Nola Legend. I'm coaching high school here in New Orleans, man, at young audiences. So you guys come check us out during basketball season. Love to have you guys.
No doubt, man. Chris, for me, y'all will see more of us soon. It's our season, so we'll holler at y'all.